Hello, this is my research presentation for Art 332S. Um, for this project, I chose an artist from our Constants and Variables lecture. I really enjoyed looking at her work in class, and so I wanted to dive a little bit deeper on her life. And I chose Sharon Harper. She was born and raised in Sanford, Connecticut, where she went on to get her Master of Fine Arts in 1997 from the School of Visual Arts. And she's now located in Cambridge, Massachusetts, where she's a professor of art, film, and visual studies at Harvard University. Sharon has traveled all over for her work, and that is very represented in her permanent collections that are across the nation and around the world. She's also received many fellowship awards, including but not limited to the Guggenheim Fellowship in Photography, a Meredith S. Moody Residency Fellowship, an Elizabeth Ames Residency Fellowship at Yaddo, and many more. But her creative work is represented by Rick Wester Fine Art in New York. Sharon Harper's work explores technology and perception using both photography and videography. According to the Guggenheim Fellowship, her experimental work uses photography and video to create poetic connections between ourselves and the environment. Her work is displayed in large format prints, diptychs, 40 by 50 luminage prints, and silver gelatin prints, and several other kinds. She's also used a 4 by 5 or an 8 by 10 format camera on transparency or black and white film for some of her projects. And several of her video projects have been presented as either installations or screenings or both. And this here on this slide is a set from Watching the Grand Canyon for an Hour, which was taken on June 7th in 2013. So this first set of images is one we looked at in class called Sea Sky. These images were shot in Halsnøy, Norway on consecutive nights at dusk from June 10th to the 26th of 2012. In these images, the horizon is completely eliminated to kind of introduce a new relationship between the sea and the sky. So, according to Sharon's website, as I was researching, the light at this moment of dusk is fugitive, as is the motion of the sea, pushing the limits of photography to chart fleeting, recurring phenomena of the day, time, and weather, which I found very interesting in this project. I think this is my favorite work of hers that I came across because I find myself very drawn to the sea and the sky, and I love how she created a new way to look at them in a way that I've never thought of or seen before. Um, Moving on to this next project. This one was Moon Studies and Star Scratches. This is my second favorite of her work. It's where the camera shows the relationship between the movement of Earth, the photographer, and the camera. So it's a little bit different than Sea and Sky, but the same idea of showing that relationship behind her project. And the one thing I love about her work is how she shifts our attention to see these new relationships that we wouldn't otherwise see unless she took the camera and did it. So, according to the Guggenheim Fellowship website, this relationship is a metaphor for the myriad ways technology and art affect and ultimately facilitate our understanding of our surroundings, which I thought was a great way to describe this piece specifically. This next project is called 1 Month Weather Permitting. It was taken in Alberta, Canada, and this one fascinated me because not only did she take pictures of the stars here, where the star scratches again, but she also took pictures of the surrounding area. And these images are displayed side by side to kind of replicate the mornings after a night where she wasn't able to shoot due to bad weather and inclement weather. Um, Here she's bringing like a whole realm that is beyond reach for us, especially in the stars, into a visual representation. I really liked. I wanted to show one of the star images and then one of the mountains the next morning with the foggy view. I thought this was a very fascinating way to display the work, and there's many more images in this project, and they're all kind of displayed side by side, mountains and star scratches. It's very interesting. Also using different light pollution, really representing all aspects of the sky and what she was experiencing as she shot over the course of time. This last work that I put in the presentation is called 12 Hours from Winter to Spring. I thought it was interesting to include because this is where she created a series of 26 images from her or on her flight from Alaska to Massachusetts in April. And this is kind of a contrast from much of her work that we just looked at, because instead of looking up at the sky, she was actually looking down on the earth this time. And according to her website, the land below the plane is transformed through technology and the perspective of high speed air travel to allow time and seasonal cycles to become fluid. She really started in a dark, cold winter type scene in Alaska and landed, excuse me, in Boston in the springtime. And so I thought this was a very fascinating representation of that relationship that we've been talking about this whole time, just in a new way with a new perspective. So, to conclude, I love both the photographs and the ideas expressed in Sharon Harper's work. And as I was doing my research, I found a quote from Professor Catherine Wagner that said, "Her work reminds us of the necessity to engage in the act of wonder." Sharon Harper's photographs of constructed observations read like poems of knowledge. And I couldn't agree more with that. I'm always left in awe and wonder when I look at the sea or the sky or the land from above. And I think she expressed that really well, which is what drew me to her work in the first place. So that is all I have for Sharon Harper. Thank you for taking time to listen to my presentation. And here are my sources. Thank you.